Hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to Women Winning Wednesdays. I'm your host, Attorney Elsa W. Smith. I'm the owner of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. We're located here in the state of Maryland. We serve Maryland and the District of Columbia. Women Winning Wednesdays is a series dedicated to providing you with guests and educational content. My hope is to provide you with glimpses of what an empowered woman is and the tools that she needs to win. Little housekeeping before we get started. We are streaming on StreamYard. So if you would like us to view your comments, please give StreamYard permission for us to do so. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. StreamYard.com/Facebook. And by the way, if you catch this series this episode on the replay, please make sure to put #replay in the comments. I'm really excited about the guest I'm bringing to you today. Phenomenal person, and for many reasons. So let me just jump right in and tell you a bit about her. Her name is Dee Meyers. She is a licensed financial representative with Five Rings Financial, and she's served in that capacity since 2012. She's licensed in Virginia, DC, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts to provide life insurance as well as annuities. Dee, special to me, Dee served in the U.S. Army for over 22 years and retired in April of 2006. She is a member of the American Businesswomen's Association. So she is my ABWA sister. She is a member of the Women Inspiring Women Leaders chapter in Virginia. She is a life member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And she's also a member of the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. Very special, and I want to publicly thank you for your service to our country. So what are we going to talk about today on Women Winning Wednesdays? We're going to talk a little bit about Dee's past military service and how she believes that prepared her to fulfill the role that she has now of financial representative. We're going to talk about her why, like the source of her passion to empower women through financial education. We're also going to touch on exactly how she helps women who fear not having enough money, to retire. We're also going to talk about how she helps women overcome the habit of always putting themselves last. And I know that some of you who are watching right now, a lot of the ladies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I want you to stay tuned until the end of the show because there is a special giveaway, but you've got to tune in order to take advantage of it. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Dee Meyers. Hi, Dee.
Hey, Elsa, how are you?
I'm fabulous on this Wednesday. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored and so happy to be here.
Amen. I've been looking forward to this interview. And is there anything about your incredible background? And I know your bio is a whole lot longer than what I shared with the public, but is there anything about you that maybe, they should know, a little fun fact about you? Or did I cover everything?
Oh, that there's a list. I just gave you the basics, but with me, let's just keep it simple. Anybody can achieve anything they want to if they just decide they're going to do it. I've done all kinds of things. I've been to places I never thought I would travel to. I've met some fascinating people in places that I never thought I would meet people. Just all kinds of things. I go places that sometimes I'm the only person that looks like me.
Yeah.
Always places and nobody else looks like me, and yet, I have a wonderful time. So whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. Just go out there and do it.
I
Go.
love it. I love your spirit, and I can also relate to you in what you said about being the only one. I've touched on that point often with a number of my guests. What does it look? What does it feel like to? And how do you navigate being in spaces where you are the only one? So I'm glad that you acknowledge that.
Mhm.
So let's get right into it. You are a financial representative. Um, Tell us really, what is your onboarding like? If I come to you, I'm a professional, I come to you needing financial, help. What kind of help do you provide, and exactly what does that process look like?
Well, first of all, I say I'm a financial representative, and the reason why is because I'm not a financial planner. I am not licensed to sell securities, and that's intentional. I don't want to be licensed to sell. And the reason why is because I specialize in foundations and roofs. I'm going to talk about what that means in a little bit. But
Okay.
um, basically, I'll help people build a solid foundation when it comes to their finances. And there are a lot of things that go into that foundation, that financial. And the reason why is because it's lacking. It is really
Mm,
lacking with so many people. So when someone comes to me, and it doesn't matter if it's someone at the top of the corporate ladder or someone who's barely making it paycheck to paycheck, the first conversation is what we're doing now. It's a get to know you. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. It's just let's get to know each other. And I'm listening to hear, okay, where are you right now? Where are you trying to go? And how can I help you get there? That's the whole goal. How can I best serve you? And if you don't know, then I start asking different questions because I want to know what it is. What do you want to do? And what happens a lot of times when people go to financial people, and that's not to, you know, make anyone sound like they're bad or anything like that. That's not it. But a lot of times they're told what they should do. You should do this, you should do that. And I'm going to put you in this and I'll put you in that. No, 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 no. I'm going to ask you, what do you want to do? Because once we figure out what it is you want to do, then we can start putting a plan in place to help you get there.
I
Right.
want to unpack that a little bit, Dee, because are there people that really don't have a clue of what
Absolutely.
it is that they want? I mean, it's basically, working check to check,
Yeah.
and they can't see beyond the next paycheck. So how do you help someone like that can't see beyond that?
One of the key questions that I will ask ladies, and every time I ask the question, I get the deer in headlights look. Oh, I get that. Well, I haven't heard that one. I'd have to think about it. I ask, what are your dreams? What are
Mm-hmm.
your goals? Where do you want to be financially 1 year from now? What about 3 years from now? Or 5 years from now? Have you thought about it? And what happens so many times else is that they haven't thought about it. They stop.
Mm,
We dream. We have great dreams and things and imaginations when we're kids. But when we grow up and we get busy and we go to school and we have all of this stuff going on, we get responsibilities. A lot of times women have stopped dreaming. They've got their nose down, man, and they're just grinding it out every day, but
yeah.
they stop dreaming. And so we start with the unpacking. What is your dream? What is it that you want to do? Where do you want to go? And we can start from there with something as basic as that, because a lot of times I end up giving homework. I said, hey, you don't know what it is? Then guess what? That's a homework assignment, because I need to find out what your why is. And far too often, ladies don't have a why. They have different things they like and want to do, but there's no why. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this?
Now, in terms of going back to like the kinds of people that seek your help, you mentioned before that I think you deal with executives, but you also deal with folks that they're working, but they may not be executives. I mean, give us an idea of like the range of people that you serve. Where do they come from? Are they in corporate America? Are they in the government? Are they stay at home moms, soccer moms? Who are they?
All of the above. So the age range basically for most of my clients, and I would say 99% of my clients are women. Most
Mm-hmm.
of them are women. Few men,
Okay.
but most of them are women. And they range in age typically from age 30 all the way up to age 60. Got a couple that, a few that are over 60, but most are between 30 and 60. So that's pretty wide range. And some are just, they've been through college and they're working a job here and they're just kind of going paycheck to paycheck, but no real direction. And then we have the woman who's a business owner. She's highly educated. Maybe she's a federal employee, or, she has a business. She, owns a company, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And I see the same common issues regardless of what end of the spectrum she's on. I see some of the same common issues. And so a lot of
Well,
times it comes back to direction and focus.
well, that touched on the next question I want to ask you is what are, now that you've said that you've served people, from like C-suite, or, federal government, SESers, or the people in the government know what I'm talking about when I say SES and GS-15s and all that, or, folks that are just starting out that maybe, haven't had time to amass a whole lot for like retirement and other things. What are some of those common threads? What are those pain points that, regardless of who they are, what walk of life, they're like, oh, okay, this thing is a recurring theme? What are some of those things that you see, those recurring themes?
First of all, at the top of the list, a lack of financial education.
Hmm.
For the younger folks who haven't been out there very long, they simply a lot of times they don't really know how to save, how to invest. And they're listening to everybody and anybody, which is not good. And then on the other end, you have the folks who've been around who may be in their 40s and 50s and 60s. They've had a chance to save and grow their money, and they're a lot more educated or whatever the case may be. A lot of times they have portfolios, they have investment portfolios. However, when I ask the question, so what's in your portfolio? What are you investing in? They don't know.
Hmm.
They don't know and they're investing their hard-earned money in the TSP and their 401ks, whatever it happens to be. What do you have in your portfolio? And why do you have that mix? And a lot of times they don't know specifically. Or they have a brokerage account. What stocks do you have in that brokerage account? Now, I don't sell securities, so I don't
Right.
give advice, but I can educate people about investing. And it goes back to that financial education. Secondly, a lack of focus, no
Mm.
strategy. Well, okay, you got 4 or 5 different accounts here. What are they for? Well, I'm just kind of putting money there. So does the money have a name? And a lot of times it doesn't. So I always encourage people, give the money a name, have a purpose for it.
Yeah.
Afraid, and the number one thing that most ladies are afraid of, they are afraid that they're not going to have enough saved in retirement.
Ooh, yeah.
That's
That's a
the
biggie.
number one concern. They
That's a
are
biggie.
afraid, and I hear that all the time. Fourth one, I'm too busy. I'm too busy syndrome, I like to call it. And what I come back with is this: you make time for whatever's important to you.
Mm.
You make time for it, and your personal economy, that is critical. That's important. But a lot of times there's no urgency there. I'm too busy. Well, what are you busy doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the last one, and this is another big one. A lot of ladies are either afraid or they're embarrassed to admit they don't know or they don't understand.
Yes. Yeah. And that one and another one that you mentioned earlier, there are things that I see in my estate planning practice that people, they don't even want to broach the issue of
Yes.
creating a will, creating, getting a power of attorney. They don't want to deal with that because they really don't understand it. And the truth be told is not until fairly recently has
Mm-hmm.
the marketing been trying to aim at us, to reach
Exactly.
us, because for many years the people that you saw, same in
Mhm.
financial services
Absolutely.
industry, it's older
Absolutely.
white male.
Yes.
Not
Twitterable.
anything against older white males, but hey guys, it's been you for all these years,
Yes,
and
exactly.
we as women of color, we have not seen ourselves in those commercials, in that marketing. So mentally it's saying, this isn't for me, you're not talking to me, it must not be for me.
That is so true.
So I'm
So
so glad that there are people like you in this space who really have a passion to reach women of color, well, all women, but particularly women of color,
exactly.
because there is that deficit, that need
Yes.
to fill in that knowledge gap.
Absolutely.
um, and one thing you said before about the lack of focus. Now, with people that have come to me, they may have life insurance policy, maybe provided through their employer,
Mhm.
somewhere kind of like tossed somewhere, like, yeah, I know it's there. I have no idea what the cash value or whatever is of it. I have no idea, but it's there. And they may have a little savings here. Everything's scattered.
Mhm.
When I talk to them about it in the initial intake, the initial consultation,
Mhm.
I ask about those things because, like
Yes.
you, I need to know, get the lay of the land.
Exactly.
What am
Exactly.
I
That's
what
so
am I
important.
dealing with? And I agree with you 100%. There really isn't a strategy. But here's the thing: would you agree that it's because we don't normalize having professionals in our orbit? And can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when people think about investment, because a lot of times when people are coming to me, they want to talk about investing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, investing is important. I said, have you ever thought about, what diversification is? Well, yeah. Okay, so why do you want to diversify? Well, you just want to have, you don't want to have everything, all your eggs in one basket. I'm like, that's true. So have you ever considered diversifying your advisors?
Hmm.
Why not diversify your advisors? Right? Because
Mhm.
the one stop fit. No, you don't want all of that. You don't want somebody who does your taxes, who's the tax person trying to prepare your will and your trust. I wouldn't sign up for that if I were you. You don't want
Right.
the you don't want, so you want to have the person who specializes in that. Now, as you mentioned before, life insurance and certain types of annuities, that's what I specialize in.
Right.
I sell security, so I'm not going to advise you on that. But I will refer you to somebody who specializes in that. One of the things as part of that onboarding that we talked about, once I'm getting the lay of the land and I'm finding out, I'm going to ask, especially if somebody's already pretty well established and they
Mm-hmm.
have all, it seems like everything is checked off, then I will ask, do you have an estate plan in place? I
Mm-hmm.
have a will. Well, that's part of it. But do you have an estate plan in place? Because you have a lot of stuff here. You have a lot of assets. And in most of the time, especially within the Black community, the answer is no.
Dee, let me what you said just prompted a question I want to ask you. For people that they have some savings, but they don't have enough to, as is said in the financial industry, self fund.
Yes.
Why would a person want to consider life insurance? And I can think of, the most common use in my circle is pay for funeral expenses, right? So you're not doing God help me, the GoFundMe
Yeah.
campaigns but what are some common uses for life insurance?
Oh, that is an excellent question. So when we think about life insurance as an industry, it's
Mhm.
not life insurance, it's death insurance. But if they
Hmm.
named it that, nobody would buy the stuff. So they call it life insurance. It's not,
Hmm.
it's death insurance. Why? Because you make the premiums, you're the policy holder, you make the premiums, but you don't get one dime of it. You have to pass away, and then your beneficiary gets the check
Hmm.
after they prove that you are actually gone. The type of life insurance that I specialize in is called life insurance with living benefits, or life insurance you don't have to die to use. Because think
Hmm.
about it, with modern technology, all the medical advances, you're more likely to get seriously ill than you are to just die right away. And that's what's happening to most people. We're living longer. And when you think about it, cancer numbers are up. All types of things like that, cancer, sudden cardiac arrest, heart attacks, strokes, bad things that usually would, take somebody out permanently. But most people are actually surviving. But what happens is that once you stop working because you're ill, you're seriously ill, and you can't work, what happens? Your income goes down.
Right.
And your expenses go up, even though you may have excellent health insurance. But health insurance isn't going to pay for everything.
Hmm.
So you still have the copays and you have therapy and you have all these different things. Well, your traditional life insurance policy isn't going to cover that.
Hmm.
But life insurance of living benefits will. And what it does, what it is, you're looking at taking the face amount of the life insurance policy and you're able to accelerate that while you're still alive. Because when it comes from the insurance company's perspective, it doesn't really matter when they pay the money out. They can pay the money out when you pass away and give it to your beneficiaries, but they can also pay you while you're still alive. And that money, by the way, that money is deposited into your account. It's tax-free because it's not an investment. So it's a tax-free check that goes into your account, depending on the
It's
type
tax
of.
free.
Yes. So whether you have a critical illness, critical being heart attack, stroke, cancer, sudden cardiac arrest, you got into a really bad car accident, and now you have a traumatic brain injury, organ transplant, end-stage renal failure. There are like about up to 18 different triggers that qualify for critical illness. In a case like that, with some of the companies I work with, you would get a lump sum payment. So let's just say, for example, you had a $500,000 policy. And based on the severity of your illness, your critical illness, right? You could get anywhere, you may get up to, let's say, $400,000 that they will accelerate because they're paying you ahead of time. So they would accelerate the policy. That way you can use that money however you want. And they're not going to ask you, what are you going to use the money for? They don't care. That money comes to you. And what are you doing with that money? In most cases, you are paying your bills. You're trying to stay alive because even if you have disability insurance through your employer, and a lot of people do, the question I always ask is, what percentage of your salary are you getting paid? Industry-wide, typically it's about 60%. So let me ask you this, where's the other 40% going to come from? Because essentially you're taking a 40% pay cut. Where's it going to come from? Right? But the living benefits will basically help you stand in the gap there and give you the additional money that you would need. For a chronic illness, that's a situation where you can't perform at least 2 out of the 6 daily living activities. Things like dressing, toileting, bathing, transferring. Let's just say you're sick and you've been in rehab or whatever the case may be, and the things that you would need someone to come into your home to help you with. Right now, the key for chronic illness is it has to be something that has been in place now for 90 days or more. So if you've been chronically ill for 90 days or more, then we could file a chronic illness claim. And then, of course, the worst one is terminal illness. You get that cancer diagnosis, let's say it's stage 3 or 4 cancer that you get, right? And in most cases, well, what happens with that? Well, again, you're trying to get your affairs in order. You don't know what's going to happen. Well, what if there's an experimental treatment, Elsa? What if there is? There are many of them, but guess what? They're expensive. So you may have a treatment that costs $150,000. Where is that money going to come from? Health insurance won't pay for that. But if you have a living benefits policy, right? Guess what? I can't tell you how many stories we have of people where their life insurance saved their lives. They were able to use that money on an experimental treatment, and they're here today.
So that type of insurance, because I know in the world of insurance, there are all kinds of insurance and too many to name during this 30-minute live show. But this particular type of insurance, you called it the living insurance with living benefits.
What they are, Elsa, basically these are just riders, critical, chronic, and terminal illness riders that are added to the policy. And here's the key: at no additional cost. You don't pay anything additional for that. They come with the policy. And what's bad about it is that life insurance with living benefits, this is not new. It's been around about 20 years now. But industry-wide, most people still don't know about it. That's why I get so passionate talking about it, because people don't know about it.
So
But
that's an example of, something that when I talk about a comprehensive estate plan, it includes, whether you have, insurance, and finding out and speaking with someone to find out what types of insurance are right for your particular situation. Because I'm a real strong proponent of not being cookie cutter. There's nothing about
yes,
estate planning that I do for people that is cookie cutter. I need to meet with everybody. I need to find out what your needs are. There's might be some people that are good for annuities, others are not because of whatever needs that they have or restraints. But it's talking to people like you that are trained in selling these types of insurance and annuities to make that evaluation, do that evaluation and see, okay,
absolutely,
is this person a good fit?
absolutely.
As we're approaching the top of the hour, and there's some other questions I wanted to ask you. What would be, what are some tips that you have for those of us who really are like the folks that we mentioned earlier in the conversation that really don't have a strategy? They're working check to check, but they don't have they've not spent. They'd say, Dee, look, you asked me about my dreams. I'm just trying to get to Saturday. Okay, I don't have time to do, which is really sad.
Yeah,
Which was not
true.
funny aside. It's really sad. If you just, I'm just trying to get to Saturday. Don't
Right.
ask me what I'm going to get to a year from now. Um, but what do you say to a person like that? And specifically because this show is targeting women, to
Yes.
women specifically, what do we say to women? What tips do you
The
have for
tips I
them?
always recommend to everybody, and I would say I follow the same tips. So basically, what I'm telling you, I do in my own life. Budget. You need to have a budget. If you go to any company, especially a Fortune 500 company, they have a chief financial officer and a chief investing officer. Guess what? You are the CFO of your company, your personal company. You have to have a budget.
Right.
Why? Because the budget is your vision. Okay?
Mm.
It
I
gives
like that. I like that
it
sentence. Your
gives you
budget is your
direction.
vision.
And so without that vision, you don't know where you're going. So you need to have a detailed budget. Now, it doesn't matter what platform you use. If you want to do Quicken, I use Quicken. If you don't want to do Mint.com, I use that one too. Whatever platform you want to use, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you do it every single month. You follow it every single month because you have to, right? Number one is the budget. That's going to lay the groundwork for everything else. Secondly, your emergency fund. Guess what? If you don't have an emergency fund, you need one, right? You've got to have one. Why? I like to joke about it, but it's true. Because if you don't, you're inviting Murphy to visit you. And we know who Murphy is. Anything
Indeed,
bad
indeed.
that can happen will at the worst possible time. And I like to joke that Murphy does not travel alone. He has his
No.
best friends, broke, desperate, and stupid. And
Oh
they
no.
they all travel together and they will invade your space because you're not prepared. So
How
if you
many how many months of an emergency fund, should we
minimum
have?
3 months, but again, it depends on the person. It depends on the person. If you have someone, family, children that depend on you, I suggest having more than that, maybe 6 to 12 months of savings, right, of expenses. And so again, you have to have the budget first, and then you know how much to have in the emergency fund. But start small. That's another tip. Start
Mhm.
small. I don't care if you only got $10. Start with that and work with that. Why? Because here's something amazing that happens. When you start saving the money, it's like magic. Somehow money just appears. You find ways, you get more money to save. Why? Because the habit. It's the habit of saving and investing. That's what's going to get
Ah.
you there. It's the habit, not the amount. So, emergency fund, budgeting. Stop trying to be perfect, ladies. Just be
Mm.
effective. You don't have to be perfect. Perfection is not needed. Just be
Give
effective.
give us an example, if you can, of us be trying to be perfect in
Oh,
our.
no, basically, you want to have everything perfect as far as your finances. Well, I have to have the job and I have to be making X amount, six-figure income, and I have to have this degree or that certification. And, no, no, that's just, no, I have to live in this neighborhood. No, Stop trying to be perfect. Just be yourself. Start small. Start right where you are. I like to meet people where they are. Just start there and work from there. And don't compare yourself to others. That's a big thing of Black women. I hate to say it. We need to stop comparing ourselves to what somebody else has. You know,
Yeah.
trying to keep up with the Joneses. Guess what? They're broke. The Joneses are broke. Leave now. If your name is Jones, don't against you, not you, but the other Joneses. They're broke, so stop trying to keep up with them. So start small if you're saving and you're investing. And the last tip, educate yourself. I always
Hmm.
recommend try to read at least 10 pages of a book every day. If you have time to text and go on TikTok and watch any of those reality shows, if you got time to do any of that, you have time to read 10 pages of a book. Got to do that. And why is that important? Because what if you have a business, if you're a business owner, or if you are in a top leadership position, either in the government side or on the corporate side, right? You have to develop yourself personally. Spend more time, put more effort into building yourself, work harder on yourself than your business. That's going to be important. And so educate yourself, feed your mind daily, 10 pages of a book. If you do that, you will have read at least one book a month.
I like that point about personal development. I guess as we develop ourselves, that is reflected in our spending habits or saving habits or investing habits.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So I just like to keep things simple, but yet be effective.
Hmm.
And I've always done that, and I'm more comfortable doing that. And people will find if they do that, they'll be so much more comfortable and so much more at ease. Because as ladies, we put too much pressure on ourselves, trying to be perfect, trying to live up to somebody else's standard. Well, what about your standard?
What are some examples of just resources, because there's so much stuff online and whatnot. What are stuff that the women who are watching right now can just log on or go to? What you talked about, educating ourselves.
Yes.
Where can we look? What would you suggest for us?
I have two excellent events that I can invite you to. First of all, every month we have a special event that we do, and it's called Wine, Women, and Wealth. So the
Ooh, I
three
love the
W's,
name.
you can relate to those three W's.
I
Yes,
love it.
Wine, Women, and Wealth. And Wine, Women, and Wealth is a combination of Girls Night Out. Well, now it's Girls Night In because we're doing it via Zoom.
Right.
We have some networking. So whether you have a business or you don't, come because we want to help you promote your business. Or if you're looking to start a business, come on, we help you do that. So we have Girls Night Out, we have some networking, we have some financial topic that we talk about every single month. It's a different topic every month, so it doesn't get stale. Never know
And
what.
when is the next one?
October 22nd. I'm so glad you asked. So, ladies, you are invited by me to attend the next Wine Women in Wealth. It will be held on October 22nd. That is a Friday at 7 o'clock p.m. Yes, and then that's just for the ladies. Now, of course, we do the wine tasting too. So whatever you like to drink, you don't have to be a wine drinker, but if you like to drink wine or whatever you like to drink, we always share. Hey, what are you drinking? Because a lot of times ladies want to know, hey, what are you drinking, or what wineries have you been to? We do that, and then of course we always talk about living benefits. It's just too important not to talk about, and it's all about empowering women, educating women. That's one event. Second event, which is co-ed. So ladies, you can bring your partners, your husbands, whatever, friends. The guys can come, and it's called Money 101: How Money Works. And that is great because we have a live webinar every single Monday at 7:30 p.m. So we just had one this past Monday. The next one will be next Monday. I believe that it's the 11th, so October 11th. And those start at 7:30 every Monday. And then we have, if you can't attend on Monday, we have pre-recorded events. So we have an event on Tuesday. We have have actually two events on Wednesday, one in the afternoon and one in the evening. So Money 101, basically, and what that does, we talk about those principles, those things we should have learned as kids that's not presented in school, but very, very powerful principles, but yet easy, very easy to understand. We make it fun. We make it fun and it's empowering and you learn. And we have the live webinars, we have two wonderful ladies, my colleagues. that present every Monday, and they keep it real. And one is an attorney, by the way.
I love it. I want to put your contact information on the screen, and I'm going to leave it up there for a little while for people to get in contact with you. Now, as I promised at the beginning of the show, we have a special giveaway. And Dee, if you want to tell us what that giveaway is, drum roll.
Yeah. So ladies, every time I present or whatever, I like to give away something. And I talked about reading 10 pages of a good book every day. So for the first two ladies who reach out to me either via email or my website, or you can send me a text. The first two who request, I have a free book I'd like to give to you. And I think you can see that. And it's called Wine, Women, and Wealth. Inspirational stories of women who got their financial act together and how you can too. And it was written by the lady who actually started Wine, Women, and Wealth, one of my colleagues out in California, Denise Aaron. Wonderful book. It's a short read, so it's not thick, but the stories in there were written by agents, and each agent wrote a chapter. And so you get to meet women from all walks of life and what they went through and how they overcame those challenges. Wonderful book. And so the first two who reach out to me, I'll be more than happy to send you a copy of Wine, Women, and Wealth.
I love it. You all, I'm just going to like repeat it, even though it's on the screen. Dee Meyers' email is ddmeyers@gmail.com. You see her website, livingbenefitsexperts.com/Dee Meyers 64. And of course, her cell number is area code 540-424-7960. The first two people are going to get a copy of that book. Sounds phenomenal. And I'm sure that people are going to be jumping on it, and those books are going to be flying. They're not going to be in your hands for very long. Dee, I just want to thank you so much for appearing on the show. I love you for so many reasons. You're one of my ABWA sisters. You're in spaces where there are not enough of us represented, and you are doing a service to people in our community, people who need just to know what their options are. Exactly. I don't, one product or service may not be a good fit for everybody, but you're an option. You say, look, consider this. Does this have a role to play in your overall plan, in that strategy that you're going to help people with when they first meet you, who don't have a clue of how they're going to save and, what buckets to have? Forget how much they're going to have, but what's going to go in each bucket. They're not even there. Exactly. So I just want to applaud you. And of course, thank you for your many years of service to this country. We're so grateful for that. And just continue to keep doing the work that you do. It's one person at a time. You're impacting one life, one family at a time, and hopefully trying to close this racial wealth gap that exists. Absolutely. And it's going to take the effort of all of us as professionals to educate and empower people in our community to know more, and then to do more, and to do better with what they have. So Dee, I'm just so thankful. I love you, and I'm thrilled that you were able to make time to join me today on Women Winning Wednesdays. Everybody, Dee Meyers, thank you so much, Dee. And I will talk to you soon, and have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Elsa. I'm so grateful. Thank you for choosing me to be on your show, because I know you could have chosen so many other people. So I am very humble, very grateful to have had this opportunity. And yes, Elsa, we're going to work together on something. I can just see it in my crystal ball. Yeah. Because
I love it.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I love what you're doing.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You do the same.
Everybody, that was Dee Meyers. She was fantastic, beautiful person, and she's doing a lot of good work for our community. Now, let me tell you of course, about what I do. I started the show by letting you know, of course, that I'm the owner of an estate planning firm based in Maryland, and we also serve the District of Columbia. Wills, estate planning, your powers of attorney, advance directive, talk to me about trust. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation about what is right for your particular situation. We do not believe in cookie cutter plans because everybody's situation is different. So let's sit down. You owe it to yourself. Invest in having a conversation. How to get connected with me. There's my website, elsawsmithlaw.com, and there you see it on the screen. You can call the office at 410-995-7719. And by the way, connect with me on YouTube. There you'll find a big library of free educational videos on estate planning. Take a look, spend some time to, peruse the collection that we have, on YouTube, and connect with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We try to post things on a regular basis, but the videos we post at least one every single week. And like I said, if you have questions, reach out to us. And you can also, of course, send us an inquiry through right through our website. It has been a phenomenal Wednesday, again, with the amazing Dee Meyers. I hope that you have benefited from the information, the financial information that she provides. And again, I bring people to you just to give you options of what's out there. It's up to you to make a decision as to what is the right fit for you. But Dee represents a part of that comprehensive estate planning strategy that I like to talk about. If you need help with your estate planning, give us a call and connect with us on YouTube, as I said, and join our growing YouTube community. Make sure to click and subscribe to get our videos each week. We're a little bit over time, but again, it's worth it. I hope that those of you who are going to take advantage of the book giveaway are going to do that. Looks like a phenomenal book. I am Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney, empowering women through estate planning. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Women Winning Wednesdays, and I will see you next week. Take care.